Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Happy New Year, folks. It's 2026, January 1st. Walking out to the barn. I got most of the way out here before I realized that I had intended to film. You can see one of my great Christmas presents was this headlamp that lights up so much better. It's a little cold out, so you can probably see my breath. Bragi does not like this headlamp. So he's in his pen, pacing. Hey buddy, how are you doing? Oh, that's the water. Okay. Hey cutie. Does it sound frosty? So he's a little snorty. So I kind of need to help him understand that it's okay. Sometimes that's just hanging out until he settles. It sounds like a bunch of ice just came out of the hose. Yeah, that's worrisome. Anyway, I'm out here very early. It's maybe 6:30, still quite dark. We are going to go on an overnight trip. We're going to take our fat bikes and go ride in Eastern Washington. So I'm going to get to feeding, and I will see you in a different segment. Okay, horse feeding is done. Bragi came in to eat a little bit, but he is spending more of his time worrying, which is one of the reasons why I'm keeping him locked up in his pen. Just so he finds the answer in his stall with his food and not out by the gate worrying. If I let him out in the pasture, he would be out on the far end of the pasture worrying. And granted, it was New Year's Eve last night. There were fireworks, but they were pretty far in the distance. I mean, I heard some, but nothing really close. So he's just had a lot of anxiety lately for reasons I don't understand. Trying to figure out, trying to help him through it. I have kept him in his pen, I think for 48 hours, just because he was wanting to find answers outside and not in the barn or with me or anything like that. So that's where we are, and I think it would be a lot worse. I just heard something fall behind me. I think it would be a lot worse if I let him out put a heat lamp in the well house. So that's where I'm going to leave this section of the vlog, and I'll see you when we're on our fat bikes again. Hi friends, welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast, and first I want to say Happy New Year. This podcast is a vlog, definitely more vloggy than it normally is. It's a compilation of end of 2025. There's some vacation footage and a little bit of project retrospective and probably some other tidbits that I'm not thinking of right now. I have my computer over here, so I will be looking at my notes periodically. But first, let's talk about what I'm wearing. So this is a tunic that I crocheted. This is my only crocheted garment. I've crocheted it out of Madeline Tosh yarn, out of this lovely green. And it goes down to, I mean, I could wear it with leggings, but I have a gray dress underneath right now, just like a t-shirt dress. And it's a very simple pattern, but again, it's the only garment that I have ever crocheted, and not sure I will. I mean, since I discovered knitting, how many years ago was that? This was probably 2011 or 2012. And since I really started knitting in earnest shortly after that, pardon me while I get some water, I really haven't looked back from that. I have crocheted a few things, and I'll talk about that when I go through my 2025 retrospective. I hope you have something nice to drink, whether it's water or whatever else you might drink at whatever particular time of day it is for you. Today is Saturday. It's January 3rd, 2026. And let's talk about some knitting. Finished objects? None. I do have a new cast on, and I'll show you that in a little while. But first I want to talk about the Talvinen. So this is the colorwork sweater I've been working on. It's a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, who you probably know is one of my favorite knitwear designers, and I am on the sleeve. I'm on the right sleeve. So, and right now the sleeve is just 5 inches of stockinette knitting that I am using US size 3, and once I get to the colorwork section of the sleeves, I will switch to US size 4. So where I left off last time, I was in the colorwork section, and I've modified the pattern. I haven't tried this on. So I think this plain stockinette, well, first let me show the yoke, since that's really the beautiful part. This is a Finnish soul bird. Love this pattern. There were supposed to be like at least 7 inches of stockinette, and then the color work at the bottom was another like 6 inches. Well, that would be a lot. So I haven't tried this on yet, but I like my sweaters to be somewhat cropped. I like them to fall at my natural waistline, and as you can see, this one's going to be a little bit higher. I haven't tried it on, so it may work out just fine once it gets over my body. But this section here was supposed to be repeated, and I just decided to cut it off at one repeat of this colorwork section and then do the ribbing. So the yarn is the main yarn. The purple is a shade called, the colorway is called Nightshade, and it is a yarn by Emma. She's a yarn dyer out of, I think it's Emma's Yarn. She's a yarn dyer out of Florida. And then this contrast color is called Kentucky Derby, and it's by Woolen Women. And then the pink is also Emma's Yarn. It's called Love Drunk. So looking forward to this fingering weight yarn. I think it's going to fit great, even if it is a little bit long. So I'm keeping that in mind when I do the sleeves, because I really like my sleeves to be kind of just a bit above the wrist. because I like my knitwear to be functional. So I will talk about this bag a little bit more in the 2025 finished object retrospective. This is the only crocheted item that I did in 2025. And let me show you the shawl that I've been working on. This is the Wildwood Shawl. It's a patron only pattern for the Bakery Bears. And KF Jones is the knitwear designer. And I see a boo-boo here, but I've already ripped it out twice. So this is where I'm at with it. And I am going to be knitting this in mostly this pale blue, which is a Knit Picks fingering weight yarn called Clarity. So the original pattern is a striped pattern, which that's the way I started it. It was a mystery knit along, but honestly, I didn't like the stripes. So I decided to do a fade and just use as much as the colors that I wanted. And I do not see a picture of the shawl. So I hope you continue to follow along, and I will share it with you as I keep working on it. It's a quite big shawl. I think it ends up with at least 300 and some stitches on the needle. So it's going to be hard to show eventually because my needles, which are Chugga Red Lace, US size 4, are, I think they're 100 centimeters, which quite honestly isn't that long. And I plan to do this in mostly shades of blue besides the white. This is a bag that my partner made me for Christmas a couple years ago. It's he has an industrial sewing machine, so this is a faux leather. It is felt lined, and this is the handles are a belt. Just whipping right through the whips. I'm not going to show you the 100-acre wood blanket, which is a mitered square blanket, also designed by K. Jones. I believe that pattern is available on Ravelry. And it's a very small, the squares are very small, so they only take about 3 grams of yarn. It's kind of warm today. I think we're probably having another atmospheric river. So it was cold last week during Christmas and New Year, and it has warmed up quite a bit and been raining. But I get to show you a new cast on in a new bag. So this is a bag that my mom made for me for Christmas. I don't know if you can see the stitching detail, or maybe I'm showing you the wrong, I am showing you the wrong side. So if you can see that stitching detail, very pretty little plant pattern, avocado motif on the fabric, and then it is quilted and lined with this beautiful batik, and I believe this orange is hand-dyed fabric. So I love the drawstring bags. And what do I have in here? I have another pair of socks. So this is Vanilla, is the new black. Second pair of socks I've made, and this is out of an Advent, a Legacy Fiber Artz Advent from last summer. Advent doesn't come in summer in the Northern Hemisphere. Last winter. So I love this colorway. It's been so fun. And I have just been scooching right along on it. And so I'm almost just about done with the heel turn and ready to start on the foot. Vanilla is the new black. I think I said that. So it has this kind of unique heel that's really fun. Let me see if I can find the actual. So this is one of their micro skeins. It's 50-gram skein, which I will get a pair of socks out of, and I'm excited about the 50-gram skeins because I tend to only use 50 grams. So this is String Light's Repair Shop. Steel toes, 4-ply fingering weight, 75-25. There's 231 yards per 50-gram skein, and a 20-gram mini, which is this, looks like just an undyed. So I will use this, you saw it with the cuff. I will also use it with the toes. And I'm using Chugga Red Lace. I'm using Chugga. It's a interchangeable set, and I believe I'm using US size 0 on this. And then I will have to switch to Magic Loop once I start the toe almost to the end of the toe decreases, but I can really do quite a lot with those 9-inch circulars, so really enjoy them. I have 2 more bags that I will share with you as that Mom gave me for Christmas, that I will, as I start using them, as I start finishing projects, or they get too big for their, I'm thinking of this one, namely, the shawl will probably have to go in a bigger bag, so I will share that when, as time goes on. So let's just talk about I'm looking at my notes. So the 2025 finished objects. I did, counting, 10, 15, 17 finished objects. 7 of those were socks. I did 3 sweaters and 2 tees and 3 tank tops. So normally I finish about 35 or 40 projects in a year. This is the first time in a long time that I have knitted mostly garments. So, and 1 cowl. So that was the Halloween cowl, the mystery knit along that I did from Tilly B Knits. So I have linked my project page, my 2025 project page for you in the show notes if you are interested. And if it just comes up, like with everything, just there's a filter kind of near the top if you're using a computer, and just filter for finished objects 2025, and you can see all of them. And then again, the crocheted project bag. So, and I tend to like to crochet blankets, but I have so many crocheted blankets from when my mom and I and my sister too crocheted, I don't know how many granny square blankets that we crocheted in the 80s. I have a number of crocheted blankets, kind of ripple stripe blankets and so on. So not so much blanket. My mom knitted this for me. At least I think it's knit. No, it might be crochet. Looks like crochet. I want to say it was about 11 or 12. So I still have that. A lot of the yarn from back then we used was acrylic, so it's washable and lasts forever. Stashdown plans, you know, that's one thing that I'm still working on, and kind of not doing a very good job because I keep getting the Woolen Women yarn of the month, and I get an Advent every year. Just one this year though, or one in 2025. So I'm going to have to stop doing that if I'm going to be very serious about Stashdown. So I want to finish the Talvinen, of course. That's going to use most of my yarn from that I had. Some of it I had purchased, some of it, no, I purchased all of it. So, and then also the Wildwood Shawl, that's going to take some blue yarn. I have self-striping yarn that I can cast on for other projects, like other garments from the Stephanie Lotvin book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. I've showed that book before. And then I'm going to cast on other socks, probably with freckled, because I have a small stash of Freckled Whimsey. I have some sport weight yarn that I want to make a brioche sweater from, that I've repurposed that yarn several times. If this one doesn't work, you've heard it here first. I will put that in, I will offer that up to someone else who may need it. I've talked about my holiday sock yarn that was it's Holly Berry by West Yorkshire Spinners. I will offer that up once I get my square done in my 100-acre wood blanket. And you know, I don't really need 2 pairs of socks out of the same yarn, although I'm looking at a kind of a glass container that I have some stash yarn in there that's I can definitely knit a whole pair of socks out of each one of those. So I could do some gift knitting. So I don't know. Curious what your ideas for Stashdown might be, or if that is something that you are interested in, or if you are building your stash, or you've never really had a stash. So I think the purpose of Stashdown for me is I want to be a lot more intentional about what I'm knitting and the yarn I buy for those projects. So I have projects in mind for several of my Stashdown projects, including a rugby shawl for some Brooklyn tweed yarn I have, a weekender light for some pink Brooklyn tweed. I have a sweaters quantity, and that weekender light is by Drea Renee Knits, or Andrea Mowry, as you might know her. I'd like to do another mock neck tank out of some lace weight yarn. And then there's a sea glass sweater by Wool and Pine that is supposed to be a major stash buster, so I'm looking up for that. So what is new for 2026? Well, as you know, I got engaged on Christmas Eve, which is pretty awesome. So we're planning a wedding. We hope to have it on February 14th. We have some folks lined up to help us, including Randy's best man and my best woman. And so just trying to get those pieces in place and figuring out who's coming and whether it's going to be small enough to have it here at our house, which I would really like. Other things for 2026. So I was coordinating a Ryan Rose clinic, horsemanship clinic, for August. However, things got complicated, and I think they also got expensive. It is very expensive out here in the Pacific Northwest, especially on the west side of the mountains. And I think it just got to be too much. The facility charge was too much for his liking, and which is completely fair. And so he canceled it. So, and really it's okay. I mean, thinking about coordinating a clinic and wedding planning and working with O to heal his whatever it is that ails him. I'm watching Randy climb out on the roof on the garage. So it's been raining and the roof is slippery, but it's a pretty low angle, and he's I don't know, he seems pretty sure-footed out there, so I'm not going to worry about it. But that was just a little bit of a distraction. He's going to get the leaf blower and blow out the gutters. So anyway, I really need to take some time with Odin and figure out what, is it the arthritis that bothers him? Is it that scar on his haunch that's causing him to drop his hip and cause some lameness in the opposite diagonal? So left hind, right front, that's how horses move and balance themselves typically. So I've really been trying to focus on just slowing down with the horses, which is actually very good for my mental health, because I put way too much pressure on myself. And I'm sure many of us do. We watch social media, we watch YouTube, and people doing all these amazing things and making amazing progress. And I just kind of feel like I'm stuck in the same place that I've been for a long time. And none of that is necessarily true. It's just that I haven't gone from, taking a perfectly green horse to doing a full course of jumps or going into any competition, which has not been my focus. But I think you know what I mean. So just really being intentional about my own goals and defining what success looks like. I was going to show you a book. It's called Modern Horse Training, and it's by Alexander Kurland, who is the founder of the Clicker Center in the northeast of the U.S., and she makes a study of positive reinforcement. So, I'm just thinking about these small concrete goals. And for Bragi, it's and I probably mentioned this because for Bragi, you know, I need to stay on the same goal for 2 to 3 weeks. It's find the answer over here, not out there in the pasture looking out over the neighbors and seeing seeing what he can worry about at the neighbors. And also show me your calm. So that's what I've been working with Bragi in very tiny increments. And then with Odin, I'm working on the giving him like a molasses soup in a syringe so that I can put his medication in there that he absolutely refused when I put it in his feed dish. So I'll try that. And I'm also working on some other things with O, just about wearing a blanket and stuff like that. He hasn't really had to do that very much. And so I want to be able to keep his coat nice, and because hopefully I would really like to start riding him at some point in 2026 if his joint health and his body is up for it. So that's where we are with that. I started watching a couple new podcasts, and I do have them kind of in the very, where did I put these in my show notes in case you're interested? Make sure that I did do that. Maybe I didn't, but there are, oh, okay. I put it under the this week section. So what you are going to see next are the vacation photos. And some of these are from before the new year and some of these are after. So we took our fat bikes, which are just fat tired bikes that are good for riding on snow and sand. And in this time of year, we rode them on pretty much on snow. In a place nearby, and then also we went to Eastern Washington just for a quick overnight and did some riding in the desert. It was very cold and started to snow, but I have some photos from that. I need to mention, and you know, I don't mean to dismiss this. My dad is still in the hospital. I alternate between getting used to the idea and worrying ridiculously. I mean, there's nothing that I can do. He's in the best place possible. I mean, that's where he can get his care. Yesterday I worried incessantly over it and kind of wore myself out, which is it's not healthy. So bear in mind, hopefully you can't hear the leaf blower. Randy just climbed back out onto the roof opposite of me and is blowing leaves out of the gutters. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with that, where he's at. The doctors haven't given up on him, which I'm really grateful for. I am also very concerned about what his quality of life is. I mean, you know, as long as he wants to keep fighting, and even if it means he's fighting for his life and still be bedridden, I'm going to support him on that, if that's what his choice is. If his choice is that he wants to let go because being bedridden doesn't offer him the quality of life he wants, I'm going to support that too. Back to what I originally went to look at my list for, was about two new relatively new YouTubers that I've been watching. One is Francesca Goes Eventing. She is a young event rider who has a small breeding farm in Michigan. I think she said it's by Ann Arbor, which I've only been to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, so my geography of Michigan is not great. But I have really been enjoying her podcasts. She has a very gentle way with her horses. She has like I said, she and her partner are trying to start a breeding farm, and they have one Connemara, imported Connemara, I don't know if it's a pony or a horse. I have ridden a Connemara before, and they are lovely. It's been quite a while since I have done that, but this is a lovely gray mare, and the foal is you know, and with some of these European breeds that you can cross-register them. So the foal, who is now weaned and is about 6 months old now, I think, was registered as a German riding pony, and he's just super cute. So anyway, I love the way Francesca has her way about her horses, and she's super soft. And one of the things that really got my attention about her is that she was just showing her farm routine, and she like kissed every horse on the nose. It was very sweet. And the other one I've been watching is Amanda Hauser. She is, and I have the links in my show notes if you're interested. So that is under number 9 on the list. And she is a young Grand Prix jump rider with her husband, and they just started their own farm in, I think it's southeastern Wisconsin. She and her husband, who is a horse trainer. So it was just really, I really enjoyed watching them set up what was an old dairy farm into this boarding and training stable. It was amazing, and they did a lot of the work themselves. It was astonishing. So that is what I have for this Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for watching, and I hope that your new year is off to a great start. Take care, everyone. There goes Randy.